All right, welcome and good morning. How are we doing this morning? My name is Philip Ramos, coach and trainer for Three Key Elements, Gallup certified coach, and I'm super excited to have you here this morning with me. It is 10 a.m. on a beautiful Saturday. Beautiful Saturday. Me and Luna, my little dog, we got out my little beagle. I've definitely, as she's getting older, I'm falling more and more in love with her because I'm able to go at her pace. So, well, sorry, she's slowing down a bit. So I'm able to keep up with her. Maybe that's what I want to say. So I love this weather. I love being out. I love doing this, and hopefully you're doing what you love as well. I am super excited. So every Saturday now at 10 a.m. we do interviews. We're interviewing people with their strengths and what makes them amazing, what makes them incredible, how they're utilizing their strengths in their life and their business. And today we're going to be interviewing the wonderful Melissa Nicholes. So super excited to have her on with me later on today. Going to be great. It's going to be a great day today. Before we do that, before we jump into that, I just want to do some quick introductions into myself, who I am, that sort of thing, what I do, and how I love working with people. So first off, a great picture. I'm going to say, you know what? A phenomenal picture that's true to who me and my wife are. This is taking a Sugar House Park on our 21st anniversary. We love going there. We love walking around the park, getting out. And I love my grays. What can I say? I love my grays. I think when I do my hair, right, it looks a lot darker, but that's really what I look like. I have a lot of whites, a lot of white, a lot of gray. But my beautiful wife, she is the rock in my life. She's the one that actually got this whole self-development journey started for me. The year we got married, she immediately introduced us into self-development. Carol Tuttle was our first introduction. I read the book, Remembering Wholeness. We started with, this was a time when she had nobody, right? When she was barely starting out. My mother-in-law actually worked for her when she started teaching Dressing Your Truth. And my mother-in-law traveled the country with her and stuff. So we've always been involved in some sort of self-development. And that's why basically I do what I do and how I've been lucky enough to, be on this train in this process of growth. My family here, just some quick pictures. Again, my beautiful wife and my two boys, Sebastian, and Manolo. So Sebastian is 18 years old, going to turn 19 in August. And my youngest boy is 11. He's going to turn 12. Manolo is 11, going to turn 12 in October. And so super proud of them. Sebastian's in Pennsylvania, actually leaves for Philadelphia, Pennsylvania next Wednesday. Going to go there for 2 years and going to be speaking Spanish and doing some good work, doing what he loves. He took his strengths assessment, so he's on point with what he's doing. Just an introduction of Three Key Elements. So Kirk and Kim Duncan are the vice president and president of Three Key Elements. Grateful to be a part of what they do, empowering people's minds, empowering them, helping them manage their emotions to accomplish anything they want to do in life. And they've been doing it for quite some time, been very successful at it, conducting trainings, live trainings, online trainings, reaching the world. And so I feel grateful to be able to, feel privileged really is the right word, to partner with them when it comes time to teaching people about what makes them amazing, right? Teaching people about what makes them incredible. Now, and this is so I put together, before I go into this next piece about Clifton's strengths, Clifton, well, you know what, let me do it now so that we have some good solid foundation as to what Clifton's strengths is. So Gallup, I'm a Gallup certified coach. Okay. Clifton's strengths is the assessment that was created by Don Clifton. Here's actually a picture of him. And he's been given the honorary title, the father of strengths-based psychology, in a time where people were looking at self-development as a way to, how do we improve what is wrong with people? He went from a very different approach in taking a look at what was right with them, what was great about them. So from a talent perspective. So when I talk about when I use the word strengths, I'm not a fitness coach. That's not what I do. I don't, take you out. I don't write you up a meal plan or workout program. What I do is I help you identify your talents and turn them into strengths. Over 90% of Fortune 500 companies use the Clifton Strengths Assessment in order to improve performance. So individual performance. This isn't an assessment to understand how you learn. It's not an assessment to understand who you best get along with. It's not an assessment to help you to define, hey, you should do this job or that job, regardless of the role, regardless of what you're doing. It's a strengths-based approach to help you drive your natural your natural processes, your natural influences into everything you want to do. So it takes in consideration the way you naturally think, feel, and behave, driving you towards that. Now, as I've so a little just I want to take a second here. I've been a strengths coach now, a certified strengths coach for almost 1 year. When I got my certification, I've been coaching strengths for a little over 2 years. I took my assessment over 3 years ago, and it has dramatically changed my life. And in the process of not just taking my assessment, but one of the things that I've had a difficult time in doing, and this is the truth, is helping people understand the value of knowing their quote unquote strengths, right? Or their talents, because it's not always something that people that people really pay attention to, right? We're so focused on what we don't do good at. We're so focused on our weaknesses. We're so focused on how we can get better. And not just are we focused on that in our own lives, unfortunately, and this is the unfortunate truth, we're focused on that in the lives of the people that we care about, right? In the lives that in the people that we love. And as a father to 2 boys, I can honestly say I spent more time focusing on, man, you'd get better grades if, right? Or you'd be more effective if, or you could do better in life if. And that was always the come from. My wife, same thing. In the process of self-development, we always had this. We always looked at each other in terms of these goggles of potential, right? The potential goggles of, oh, you could be so good if, you could do so great if. And so in the process of really becoming a strengths coach, really owning strengths, one of the greatest things that I've learned is taking those goggles off, removing that mindset, and really focusing on what's great about people. Now, it may seem to me, because I'm a strengths coach, I do this on a daily basis, it makes sense to me. But I realize that as I've done webinars or as I've talked to people, it's a process that people have to fall in love with. It really is. It's a process that people have to understand first before they're like, okay, I'll jump in. Otherwise, they think I'm a fitness coach, right? A strengths coach. Otherwise, they don't know the value of why should I focus on what's great about me versus focus on, my weaknesses, because it makes more, it's the natural man in us to focus on what's wrong with us, because naturally we look at, if I improve what's wrong, broken, not working, surely if I fix it, right, surely I will improve. And that's kind of the mindset that we naturally come from. So helping people switch into this new one has been the challenge. I'll be honest, has been probably one of my greatest challenges and greatest hurdles. And recently Gallup has released a brand new assessment. It's still the same, the assessment you take is still the same, but the report is based on how people sell in their strengths. And this was in June. And so I got mine, and I've been so fascinated as I look to enroll and sell and do the things that I love doing as a coach or doing webinars as an entrepreneur. I'm fascinated by this idea of how do I improve, right? Me telling someone, sharing someone, selling something to someone that maybe they haven't bought yet, right? Whether if it's an idea, a concept, strengths, understanding. And so I've really loved this mindset shift that it's put me in, because now it's forcing me to be better at this. And so hopefully, so anyways, I just want to start off with this, because I've really been working at, okay, how can I help people understand, right, the strengths perspective? Why should you, if you haven't taken the assessment, or why should anyone take the assessment for that matter? Okay. So with that being said, anyways, I just wanted to give a little intro here, because even as much as I strength certified. I've been certified for a year. I've been, I've been working at this full time. As much as I love it and as much as I want to get good at, I realize that as I'm constantly improving, I'm constantly figuring out, okay, what is great about me and how do I utilize that in my life to improve my results? In this case, help you understand the value, okay? So with that being said, I want to first start off with defining, let's define really quick, the difference between a skill and a talent. Because most people, when I talk to them about this, they think, well, why is knowing my talents valuable? Like, where's the value in that? Where's the, what would be the importance in that? So let's define first what a skill is and what a talent is. Now, this is straight out of the dictionary. So skill, the ability to use one's knowledge effectively and readily in execution or performance, right? So when you practice your free throw shot, you're developing your skill, right? You're improving your knowledge base, your muscle memory, right? This is the process of you developing, harnessing, fine-tuning this wonderful skill that you have. When we talk about talent, this is something I love the way that the dictionary put in this, the endowments of a person, right? When I think of endowments, I think of something that's been bestowed upon me, right? You've been gifted, you've been blessed, you've been enshrouded, right? By something that is unique, by something that is magical, by something that is incredible. And so when I look at this, I love this verbiage here. And I love what this really represents, because this is more true to when I help people discover their talents, this is what we're talking about, is something that naturally, that you've been gifted with, you've been blessed with. It's not a skill that you have developed up to this point. It's something that operates within you, that it's not something you necessarily choose. You didn't open up this, when you were 21, right? You got your driver's license when you were 21. 21, 21. That's other things you could do. You got your driver's license when you were 16. And when you're 16, you didn't get this, what am I thinking? Like a binder, right? That rolled out and you're like, ooh, I'll take that one. I'll take that one. This is something that has been naturally just kind of in you at a very young age. I'm not going to go into the science of it, but this is something that you've been endowed with, blessed with, gifted with. And so that's the definition between a skill and a talent. Now, what takes a talent, what we're going to talk about now is what takes talent into strengths, okay? So a talent, a natural way of thinking, feeling, and behaving, multiplied by investment, the time spent practicing that talent, developing the skills and the knowledge base of that talent, the things that go along with that talent, is what turns that into a strength. So this is this is the Clifton Strengths Assessment, right? To turn your talents into strengths. But what we're starting off with is discovering, first and foremost, what was I endowed with? What was I blessed with? What was I enshrouded with? What inside of me, right? Internally allows me to click. Now, as we work towards results, right? This is performance and results. It's 100% what Gallup is committed to. So the reason why 90% of Fortune 500 companies use Clifton Strengths Assessment within their company is because that's what it's driven towards. It's not driven towards how do I get my employee to do better, right? How do I get my employee to learn what I'm trying to do? How do I get my employee to get along with everyone else? How do I get what you're looking at is really what makes this person great, and how can I encourage more of that in them? Like, how can I, if they have this natural talent, how can I just water it and allow it to flourish and utilize in every way possible? That's why strengths is so popular. That's why it's so utilized, is because it takes a very different approach when it comes time to seeing it. When it comes time to looking at other people, we focus on what's great about them versus focusing on what they should be, what they should work on, right? To be more well-rounded, or to be a better person or a better employer, whatever the better might lead to. Okay. So what I want to do is talk here about the how results, right? What we're looking at is how we naturally think, feel, and behave. As we move towards the results that we want, the goals, the performance, whatever the result is. And this is any role. So in the role of your marriage, as an entrepreneur, maybe in your career, it really doesn't matter, no matter the what you're trying to accomplish, nor the role that you're playing. What matters is you taking in consideration the way you naturally think, feel, and behave that influences your behavior towards those results. Okay. So if we take a look at the measuring stick of our talent versus our skills versus our natural talents, we go through life and we go to college, right? Many of you have gone to college. Maybe you go to seminars, maybe you go to practices that you do. Because you're looking to develop a skill, right? You're looking to develop a skill. And so you're improving your knowledge base around maybe a particular degree you're trying to get, or a diploma you're trying to get, or certification, right? That you're getting in whatever you're doing. Maybe you're in sports. And so you're developing this skill, this knowledge base to do what? I want to go back to this, so that you can effectively and readily use it in execution or performance. Okay. So that is what we do to develop our skill. And that absolutely improves our results. To say that doesn't is silly, right? When we talk about utilizing our natural talents, though, what we're talking about is our internal process. We have a natural way of thinking, feeling, and behaving that naturally influences, and it probably influence is the best word, that influences why you do something, how you do something, how you go about something. Have you ever had a conversation, right? So let's just pick, I think, marriage, or even getting raised as kids, right? You had maybe a sibling, 2 siblings, 5 siblings, and you maybe stayed in the same home for 18 years, maybe even longer. You were exposed to maybe a lot, if not almost all of the same experiences. I mean, there's some different things there, maybe even exposed to the same traumas. You were exposed to even the same opportunities sometimes. Yet there's just something different about your sibling. There's just something different about them. They think differently than I think. They feel differently about things than I feel. But they act differently. What about our spouses, right? We get married and we're in this space of like, oh my gosh, we get along, right? Puppy love, right? All this infatuation, right? We're in this moment of like, oh, and then we start paying bills. And then we start raising kids, and then we start doing laundry. Then we start replacing toilet paper, and it's always outside. No, it never goes on the inside out. No, it goes on the outside, right? And over. And it's little things like this where we realize, oh, even though we've lived together for 20 years, you think, feel, and behave differently than I do. Still about the same, about toilet paper, about toothpaste, right? About paying bills, about finances, about activities, right? Family, all kinds of different things. And so what's important is that no matter how much skill we develop, which is going to dramatically improve our results, what can dramatically increase your engagement, what influences, is by taking consideration of your natural talents and increasing and turning them into strengths, right? This is the process of understanding the way you naturally think, feel, and behave, turning a natural talent into a strength and dramatically increasing the results. Imagine going to school, going to practice, developing this skill, right? That you're just incredible. You're crushing it. And then you take your natural talents along with you. Think of the results I want you to think real quick, the results that you could have by taking the way you think about it, your approach. What influences your thinking approach? What influences the way you feel, right? I'll give you an example. My number 1 talent is positivity. Out of 34 talents, my number 1 is positivity. To not bring that into everything that I do, to dismiss my desire to feel good about things, and that I have to be, Philip, you got to be more realistic. You got to look at everything from a pros and cons perspective before you make any decisions. That absolutely takes the way I feel out of the game. Does that make sense in driving my result? If it was only based on skill, if my results could only be based on the fact, I guess I just have to be good enough, smart enough. I have to have the right certification. I can't bring my natural awesomeness, my natural talents, and and I can't, right? Instead of, I have to focus on what's wrong with me, my lack of certifications, my lack of education, my lack of all these different things. I didn't go to high school. I didn't go to high school. I didn't graduate from high school. I went to high school, didn't graduate from high school. I didn't go to college. And so I suffered a lot of my career or professional life thinking I'm not good enough, right? I don't have the skill to have the results that I want. And quite frankly, this is how I felt about my skill. And this is where my skill really was in reality, in comparison to probably many of you. What changed my results was this right here, was me learning about what was great about me 3 years ago. I became a coach. I became a trainer. I do everything that I do. All the success that I've had over the course of the last 3 years have not come because of the skill that I had previously. It all came because of the natural talents that I decided to lean into. And now I'm developing my skill. Now I'm raising my skill. Now I'm getting better and better at what I do. But my focusing on my natural talents, falling in love with my natural talents, has dramatically increased my results. Does that make sense? So I have loved this. I hope that this has helped in clarifying the importance of obviously focusing on our talents, but also recognizing, right, and realizing the difference between the talents and skill. They both have value. They both provide incredible benefits. They both, it can be transformational. I know people that have transformed their life, right, based on just pure skill alone. But I would say for many people that I have come across, why this is so attractive is really because this is how they feel about their life. Does that make sense? The truth of it is people aren't finding the success they want because they really feel like they don't have the skill. They really feel like they should have gone to school or got a different degree or whatever it should have been. They feel not good enough when it comes to a skill based. The fact that they don't even know what makes them amazing it's heartbreaking, right? It's why I play that song, When I Love Someone, I Love Them All the Way, because I love what makes people natural. I would say I am not here to teach you a skill. I'm here to help you understand, identify, anchor, and really own your natural talents to drive your results. Because I know from my own experience that the people that I've come across, they may have skill, but this is what they feel like. They feel that they don't have the skill, and they feel like there's nothing good about them. I have transformed my life, and the people I love to work with, is by raising their belief and raising their knowledge and raising their awareness of their natural talents. And by doing that, they have identified, enjoyed, engaged in pursuing those skills and watching both of these flourish. Does that make sense? So I just wanted to start off with, I just wanted to start with this because right, like I said, as a strengths coach, I want to get better and better at helping you see why talents and identifying talents and investing in our talents can dramatically change and transform our life. Not skipping skill, but identifying, okay, what is the skill I want to improve now that I know, right, my talents are. As I've gotten better at identifying my talents, I want to be a better salesman and develop selling skills in my talents. That's what I sold for 20 years. I've been to huge trainings and all kinds of big corporate stuff. I was successful, but there was a lot of self-betrayal and a lot of just ickiness that I had around sales. And to be quite honest, I didn't want to choose back into that profession. I didn't, because I knew what it was like before. But now that I've developed so much now that I've been aware of my natural talents and I'm investing into them, turning them into strengths, now I want to raise my selling skill. Does that make sense? I honestly can say I want to be the best salesman I have ever been in my life and produce the biggest results I've ever produced. but in my authentic way, in a way that's fun for me, that's creative for me. And so this has been a huge piece of awareness for me to realize, I need to do a better job, I need to develop a better skill of telling you what strengths, what a Clifton Strengths assessment is, the difference between talent and skill, helping you understand the value of it. So if that did, do me a favor, raise your hand or just give me just let me know, because this is where I really want to improve so that I can better improve and assist people in helping them see and understand, right? What is, so what do you do, Philip? Right? What do you do, Philip? Because it just doesn't make sense. So anyway, so thank you. I appreciate that. I absolutely appreciate that. All right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm super excited to, let me go ahead and bring, so Malinda, if you want to unmute yourself here, bring on your camera. So as we do these every Saturday, I do a little training or a little intro, that sort of thing. Today, I really want to focus on that. But every Saturday at 10 a.m., we do an interview and we get a chance to meet someone brand new and look at their strengths profile, take a look at them. For those of you that are strengths enthusiasts, I like to call you, you might have, you've seen your own profile, maybe you've seen other people's profile, but just a quick overview. When I say strengths profile, this is the way Malinda operates in terms of her strengths, right? So we have the domains of executing, influencing, relationship building, strategic thinking. And within there's 8 to 9 different themes or characteristics that fall within those bigger categories or domains. And this talent filter or this talent profile is unique to Malinda. You're 1 in 33 million in the order in which your unique profile lands out. So you're not 1 out of 4, where, with type, different addressing your truth, or you're not 1 out of 16 with other things. You are 1 in 33 million in the uniqueness in where your themes or talents fall in that order. And it falls in that order based on, again, what influences your natural processes. What is it that influences you from a thinking perspective, from an emotional perspective, and from an acting perspective, or from a taking action? And for Malinda, it happens to be empathy, activator, restorative, achiever, and focus, includer, belief, developer, futuristic, individualization. Now, when you first get your assessment, always take a look at the top 5. I train people how to work in their top, up to their top 15. And for the sake of this interview, we're just going to, instead of going to the definition of them, we're just going to have a chance to interview Malinda and have her talk about what she does, what makes her amazing, what makes her incredible. And we'll go from there. So it'll be super fun, hopefully super engaging. But to get this started, Malinda, why don't you just take a few moments to introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and what makes you awesome.
Hey, thanks so much. I'm excited to be here. So I am a marriage and family mentor and coach, massage therapist, and wellness advocate. I am the owner and creator of Live Dosha. I'm a podcaster, wife, mom, sister, daughter, friend, life upgrader.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so good. I love that.
So yeah, and I've had so much fun with learning my strengths, and especially from you, Philip, and everything you've taught me has really helped everything that I do when it comes to my business, when it comes to being a wife, a mom, everything. I look at things a whole new way. And I think that's a true way to live dosha. I just want to help others to continue to attempt learning how to have a healthy lifestyle within this, life is a battle, and that's why I have this podcast called the Armor Alignment Call, where, you learn how to
say the title again.
The Armor Alignment Call.
Armor Alignment Call. Okay.
Yeah. Where you put on the armor of God and you balance your chakras and you activate the life that you love, achieve your dreams, right? And learn how to ground and understand your strengths and really become unstoppable in the true path of living dosha, right? And I feel like just like what you teach, Philip, unapologetically living true to oneself, learning one's strength. And it's a true resource to help us to live a dosha lifestyle, in my opinion. So I just love it. I love strengths.
I love that. Well, thank you. It's interesting as you talk about that. It's neat to see how other people do what they do from a professional perspective, or from from maybe just their own passions, and they begin to think about this idea of, I mean, at some level, aren't we all looking for what makes us authentic, right? Aren't we all looking for what makes us unique and special and awesome? And I think we're all in that search for, well, what do I like, right? What do I like? And I love this idea of the idea with strengths, or the idea really of really anything, where we begin the process of looking internally for what is it that we want externally, right? So often, and unfortunately, I think it's been the way of whether if it's marketing, or whether if it's just been the way of certain ideas or social influences, is that unfortunately people have defined themselves based on their external influences, right? Based on my home, my car, my money, my job, my relationships, all these things. We've been told to define how we are authentically and what makes us great based on all these external things. And this idea of looking internally, right? Well, who am I based on, right, my internal influences, based on how I feel, or what makes me, what do I crave and what do I connect with? And I love this really movement, right? And I know that that's why I love strengths, is because it's also part of that, or helps influence that. But I love what you're talking about, because I think that's really that's a fun, and I think it's a very freeing place to encourage people to begin to look for, instead of this idea, well, I got this much, or I have this job, or I do this for a living, or I have these people, so I'm okay, right? or I'm moving forward. So I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so let's so first off, as we talk about strengths in general, what is, now I know that you're part of the 3 Key Elements, the mastermind group, and I know that that's kind of where you were introduced into the strengths itself. Give me some initial thoughts of, because I'm always fascinated by this, right? Because for me, when I was asked to take the assessment, I was like, oh gosh, here we go again, right? Another personality test. And obviously it's changed my life. I'm so glad I got over that moment. I think of my life right now, where would I be had I let that moment win? Oh man. So anyways, what was your initial thoughts? What were your thoughts when you were invited, right, to take this assessment?
Okay, so when I was invited to take the assessment, I was super excited, because I love
Awesome.
learning more about myself. And
Awesome.
I'm like, oh my gosh, what is this gonna do? How is this gonna help everything? And so I was super excited. And then I took the test, and I was like, okay, some of these make sense, but what is focus? Like, what? Because everyone tells me, Malinda, calm down, like you're doing too much, you're jumping around. What is focus? I'm like, I can't tell anybody that focus is in my top 5. They're
Yeah.
not gonna believe it, right? But deep
That's so
down,
good.
like I always said, no, I'm focused. I would always tell people, well, I'm focused, but I'm focused on what's important to me. And that's what you taught me. And it was like, okay, that makes sense. So this battle between like people saying one thing, but me knowing another.
Oh, did I lose you? Melinda, you there? Was that my internet that went out? Raise your hand if you guys can hear me. Just so I know. Is it Melinda that went out? I still see people in the chat. Oh, did we lose the whole connection? I can't tell. It says I have internet. Okay, do me a favor. Can someone raise their hand? Anyone? Just so I know that I'm still here. Or did we lose everybody? I don't see anyone raising. Can you guys see this? Oh, okay. No, you can. Oh no, we lost Melinda. Okay, so people are here. Oh no. Oh no. Hold on. Oh, well, hopefully we'll get her back. Hopefully we'll get her back. Oh, she was on a roll. She was in it. She was in it. She was talking about her focus. Darn it. Okay, so oh man. that was like I was like, oh yeah, we're getting into this. Oh, there she is. Okay, cool. So cool, so cool, so cool. All right, Malinda, you can unmute yourself. Can you unmute yourself?
Hey, I'm back. I just asked some of my family. We are all on the internet right now, I think. And so I
Okay,
just,
okay.
hey, could I use it real quick?
Okay, good, good, good. Okay, so go back. You were talking about focus. I lost you at focused
Mhm.
and what other people were defining it and what you're learning about it. So go ahead.
Right. Yeah. So I was talking about focus and how other people would say one thing, but I felt another. And so when I got my test, it was like permission to own that I really do focus, but the way I focus looks different than the way someone else focuses, you know? And I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, that makes sense. And I don't have to have this battle anymore of like trying to prove it. No, I'm focused, or like do it their way, but own how I do it so that I can learn when I'm like fulfilling that to the best potential that it has.
Yeah. I like that, and I think that that's probably been one of the things that I've learned the most. I remember when I first took my assessment and I saw, for example, I saw positivity at number one. I actually looked for other people that had positivity, and I was in a group of people, and this was about maybe, I would say this about 6 months after I took my assessment. And at that point, I hadn't read it, right? But I knew positivity was there. And so someone was talking about strengths, and I was at a meeting, and they had shown everybody's top five. And this one gal had positivity number one. I was like, ooh, okay, right. I'm going to listen to this and be like, oh, and I was listening to her and I was like, that doesn't sound anything like me. That doesn't sound, this person is nothing like me. And it was in that moment that I really realized, I was like, oh, this is unique to me. Like, this is how I use it. So I love that you're talking about, right, what someone else defines as focus or empathy, right? Empathy is a big word people throw out, isn't it? I mean, you can Google, you can, go to YouTube, and everyone's teaching about empathy, but their definition sometimes is unique to them, or how they use it, how they process it. And so that's a big one that I've learned too, is that, what does it look like for you to have this talent or strength and to utilize it in your life? So I love that you bring that up. I think that's super cool, super big that you noticed that and aware of that.
And so helpful to learn that. Like, I mean, it took me a while, Philip. You helped me through a lot of that. And it was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay. That's me. That's you. This is me. And we don't have to do it the same, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think let's be honest, it all takes us a while, because the truth of it is, here's the truth, is that we all internally believe that what drives our results and what drives our success is not how we think, feel, and behave, but it's our skill. And it's how we manage how we think, feel, and behave, right? Oh, I didn't get success because I didn't manage my emotions, or I didn't get success because I didn't manage my time, and things. And there's truth to that. There's no doubt about it. There's lots of truth to that. But we're so focused on what we need to develop, what we're not good at, and we're so focused on this good or bad, good or bad, good or bad mentality, and we overlook this natural, unique processor, this supercomputer inside of us that, quite frankly, nobody has, and we can't really describe it to them because it's unique to us, that this is a major influence in our results. And the more and more we tap into that, we tune into that, we start to realize, oh, wow, like there is something unique about my focus or my this or my that actually drives my results, right? Versus what our friends or family or whatever other people may think. So I love that. I love that. Now, with that being said, you took your assessment, you're like, okay, I'm excited about this. You got your assessment. What were your thoughts about your results? What do you think about it?
Okay. So like I mentioned before, the top four didn't surprise me much. Number five, I was like, which is focus. I was like, okay, how does that work in? Right. But then thinking about my top one, empathy, I'm like, yeah, I get that. That's so true to me. Now, how can I make this a good thing? Because in my life at that moment, it wasn't necessarily like serving me in the way I wanted it to. And so that that was that stood out to me, and I was thinking this through, and I asked you a lot of questions. How do I help this strength serve me and let it, and a lot of that had to do, Philip, with just allowing myself that. Like I get to allow myself to be strong in empathy, to be able to feel other people, to be able to understand their feelings that they're going through, and to not take it on as my own,
Hmm.
and to just appreciate that, like
Yeah.
just acknowledge like, okay, I'm understanding that. But
Yeah.
but with the restorative in there, right? But I don't have to fix it, right?
I know.
Because like all of my activator and my achiever, everything goes together in this way where it's like, oh, I miss fix it. And that doesn't work. And like I feel this, I know what needs done, and let's start it now. Let's go.
Yeah.
And understanding that that's a gift if I use it in a way that serves me and
Yeah.
everyone around me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
100%, right? It is that word, that love that word, endow, what I've been endowed with, right? Would have been bestowed with, what I've been blessed with. I just love that idea. And what you're talking about is your unique combination of them, right? That makes that whole process unique and how you work. Now with that being said, like what would you say is like with what would you say is like your superpower, your thing, like what really stands out to you is you're like, man, this is what I'm great at, this is how I operate, this is what I do. What would you say that is?
when I was thinking about this, Philip, I'm like, when I tried to separate my top five, when I tried to just do one, when I tried to just say, okay, I'm empathetic, I have empathy, I activate, I restore. I feel like if I don't combine them all, it just falls apart, in
Mm,
my opinion, because I'm like activating things. Like I said, I'm trying to be Miss Fix It. I'm not understanding that they all have to kind of groove together, work together in whatever endowment recipe I've been given, right? Like whatever percentage of empathy I have mixed with this activator and restorative and achiever and focus, what I'm learning is it really all has to go together in a right percentage to create that superpower. And so I'm loving learning these steps and like watching how it upgrades the more I understand it, the more experience I have with it. Because I'm like, if I feel something that someone needs, right? And I go and start this and activating it and going on this restorative thing and focus, but then I forget they're not maybe where my activator is, right? I got to use that empathy to see where they're at. I've got to activate in the right time for where they're at or what they want, or if I'm helping someone else. And then when it comes to me, it's the same way. Well, it's like, yeah, I want to activate everything, but how am I feeling? Did I check in with how I'm feeling?
right.
Like, am I exhausted? Am I activating too much? Like, let's kind of bring that focus in there, right? Bring that into, and it just feels like they all are this perfect system. Like your body, you have the system, you have your brain and your heart and your
Yes.
activator and everything. And it's like, whoa, 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 you gotta have this perfect like live dosha experience with your strength. You
Yeah, yeah.
gotta have every part of that. You gotta have the physical, the spiritual, the mental, all of it for it to work. And so I think practice is key in that. Like, okay, let me practice this. What did I miss? If that didn't work, what strength did I not bring in? Or what strength did I bring in too much and I left everybody else out? Or I hope that answers your question. But that's how I find my superpower, I guess. And I guess I'm still learning. I'm practicing it like every day. Where's my superpower at? Where's this perfect balance of understanding how much restorative I bring in, how much of this I bring in with whatever situation I'm dealing with, you know?
Yeah, I love that you're bringing this up. When you're talking about, for example, like the awareness, when people learn, for example, their strengths, right? They learn their strengths, they learn what's great about them, their talents, And often my experience is sometimes people use it as a justification to say, well, I do this because of my achiever, or I do this because of my activator, instead of realizing that we are what makes us amazing. We are an incredible, unique, machine, if you will. But there are things within us that have to operate in a certain way in order to be effective, right? We can absolutely overdo anything, and we can absolutely underdo anything. And so when I teach people, I teach them, right, how to regulate this process, how to it's self-expression is self-regulation. So if you look at it from a perspective of, your car, if you will, you have that temperature gauge where you run. If you run it in the red, meaning the pedal is to the metal 24/7, you're going to burn up your engine, right? Burnout. Let's just call it burnout. Your burnout is extremely real. If I run positivity 24/7, I'm going to burn out myself. I'm going to burn out relationships. People are going to be like, I'm done with this guy, right? I can't, he is not being, I've done that in my marriage, right? My wife's like, babe, we should, no, everything's great. Everything's good, right? 24/7 positivity, and it has affected our relationship, no doubt about it. Now, on the same spectrum, I can't run it in the yellow and it'd be like, yeah, yeah, wait, yeah, no, that's not me. I got to run it in that fine green zone where it's like always humming, right? It's just humming. I got to know when to push on the pedal so I get it out of the yellow, but I got to know when to pull it back so I'm still in the green. And I think that that's super important. I love what you're talking about, because people often don't look from an awareness perspective. What adjustments do I need to make, and how can I make them? We almost give ourselves this excuse of, well, this is just who I am. You can either like it or get out, right? Or leave, right? Kind of thing. And we don't, and what a poor way for us to play, when the truth of it is we all overdo things and we all underdo things. So how do we stay in the green, right? Our green is our superpower, what you're talking about, the superpower of all of our strengths, that combination. And how can we do more of that? So I love that you're, number one, bringing up the awareness, but that you're acknowledging that in your process of discovering your superpower, your greatness, your ability, is that you're not looking at it and being like, okay, pedal to the metal, in terms of your focus or your achiever, and your family members are saying something, you're like, well, it's who I am, like it or leave it, kind of thing. But you're realizing, you're thinking, have I gone too much? Have I gone too far with this, right? Maybe I do need to pull it back so anyways, I just love that. I love that you're doing that.
But I would say, if I had to pick a favorite right now, with what I'm going with right now, or what I'm learning more about that you've helped me work on, is empathy. And that first one, and that it's something that I do. I love what you brought up with your positivity with you and Melissa and things like that, because I try to think about that. And my empathy, what I've noticed that really makes me feel strong, is if I feel it, like it's a go. Like, yeah, well, if I feel it, it's go. But the issue can arise when my husband might have an idea or something and I don't feel it. So I'm like, no, I don't feel it. We're out, and I have to give him time. I have to think about it a minute. Like, okay, let me think about this and let me try to feel this. Okay. And we might, but when I do feel it, we're going, we're activated. We got it. And, recently we just sold our house and we're doing the camper living. And it's really we knew it. We felt it. My husband's very deliberate. That's his top strength. So when he decides he's doing something, he's doing it. We're going. But because I felt it, because I'm like, yeah, I feel that, we were able to just do it so beautifully together. We're like, boom, we're going. He's deliberate in it and I feel it and we're good to go. And so as we're going to these next steps and we're trying to figure out what's next for our family, and people ask us questions, what are you doing next? When are you buying a house? Things like that. I'm like, I don't feel it. And that's okay. That's an okay answer for me. I used to say, I don't know. But right now it gives me so much more confidence in myself, what I'm doing, to allow myself to say, hey, I don't feel it, so we're not doing it. And that's okay.
I love
I have
that.
to be careful not to do that to my husband, right? Like, I don't feel it. I'm out. See ya.
Yeah. right? My wife comes home, she says, Philip, can I talk to you about something? No, I got positivity. I'm sorry, I can't, right? And I think that's, I love that you're, again, the purpose of talents, the purpose of discovering our talents and turning them into strengths and is to be effective in every role in our life as spouses, as parents, as entrepreneurs, coaches, whatever we do, we want to be great at everything. Not saying that like my talents only fit it's only a plug and play system in this area of my life. It's not in this area. It's about adjusting and say, okay, how can I utilize them, still stay true to who I am and impact this other area of my life? So I love that. I love that you're aware of that and keen on that.
Yeah,
So
well, thank you for teaching me.
you're
That has been
welcome.
very helpful.
You know what? You're a great example of people taking it and running with it, and I think that's awesome. Now, with that being said, talk about some of the places, because obviously you've mentioned, this with your husband. What are some areas or places or things in your life? You're a coach, you're an entrepreneur, you have your podcast. You're obviously, you're a mom, you're a wife. What are some of the areas, whether specifically or just in general, that you find you're really having success with your strengths, and how are you going about that?
Oh, for sure, how I communicate with my spouse.
Hmm.
Like, I love it. You introduced me, 3 key elements introduced me to strengths. Oh, man, last August, I think, last
Yep.
August, something.
Yep.
And my life has changed in a different, but after 3 key elements introduced me to strengths, right? I'm going to school, I'm doing my thing. I graduate this July, but my last semester, before this one, just last semester, we talked about it. And I should give a background. I'm graduating in marriage and family studies. And last semester we were introduced to Clifton Strengths because that's how important it is for business. You talked about for business and sales, but for family, for communication, because we're all so different.
Yeah.
And before, like you talked about, the toilet paper roll has to go this way or it has to go that way, right? But there's all these little quirky fights that we have as spouses that it's like, no, this is, why don't you, 17 years, why don't you do it this way? I've shown you for 17 years, this is right.
Right. Right.
And I mean, that's been huge in my marriage, just to be like, well, you're not like trying to get at me. You're not like trying to go against me, but you, like my husband, he's deliberate. He's very deliberate. And when I understand that, it's like it opens up my mind to him. And
Yeah.
like I feel so much closer to him because I'm like, wow, that strength is so important because deliberate in mine, I don't even know if it's in my top 15, right? It's like, I'm not like, I'm just going with the flow, whatever, whatever happens. I'm
You feel
like,
it, right?
right? I feel it like hippie massage therapist, like that's fine. Everything's fine. And he's like, well, this was not planned. This was not. And his mind is like confused. And
I
before,
love it.
yeah, before it was like, you could just, I mean, at one of the 3 key elements, things that I attended, right? My family went up there to Utah with me. We traveled together and they went to the zoo while I was at this training. And at the zoo, he bought me a gift. It was a yin and yang necklace, white
Okay.
and black. Like that's us. Like when you talk about Carol Tuttle, I'm a 1, he's a 4, like
Yep.
all contrasts.
Yeah. Right. Yep. Yep.
And it's like, this is us. This
Yep.
is for you. And our strengths show that on a whole new level.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, I really am like this, activator, bubbly going, right? And he's really that stable, like, okay, keeps things together. I need that in my
Yeah.
life. I don't have that,
Yeah.
right? And for me, it's such a huge blessing to understand that what I thought was holding me back, what I thought was like this struggle, this fight, was actually what can just help us just to go forward as a couple that's trying to raise a family. We're trying to do the best that we can for our children. And now we have like so many more gifts because I opened my mind up to what he can bring to the table.
Yeah.
Or I didn't want his lasagna, right? I'm like, don't bring that lasagna to this table. We're only dessert, right? But now it's like, oh, wait, we can eat our meal. Like, yeah, let's bring all of the elements in. Let's do that together.
You know what? You're speaking to my heart. Oh my gosh, you're pulling on my heartstrings here. So I share this, I share it, and you've seen it 100 times probably. But this quote right here by Non-Clifton, as you begin to think seriously about the unique constellation of talents that you have, you recognize that other people, and I would have to say, you have to recognize, you must recognize, it is imperative you recognize that other people each have their own unique combination of talents as well. You begin to see them through a different lens, and the things that used to annoy, irritate, frustrate, make you angry, drive you nuts, right? You are now seen as the very things that make the other person productive and successful. And I think that is this right here. And I love what you're talking about. Probably one of the greatest things. And I've even looked at this from right. I'm talking about sales, and I'm working on this. The greatest lesson that I think I've ever gained value from when it comes time to strengths is that I can never ever go into a conversation, and I've been in sales, right? I worked in 20 years. I feel like I was decent at reading people. I could get along with people. I made so many assumptions, like more than I'd like to, admit to, right? And now when I talk to someone, I have to be honest. I don't know your operating system. I can ask questions and I can ascertain at some level of a domain, right? Meaning like kind of like what you talked about, Carol Tuttle, 1-4, 2. I can ascertain at that level, but I cannot define, oh, you have empathy high, you have competition high, you have this high, right? I can ascertain a little bit of information. But now when I go into these conversations, I'm in a discovery process because I honestly don't know. I don't know the way you naturally think, feel, and behave. I don't know what makes you tick. I don't know if you're in the basement of something. I don't know if you're using something in a way that's hurting you. I don't know if you're using it in a way that's supporting you. And it's really changed my level of engagement and, more importantly, excitement. Like, because now I'm like, ooh, I want to get to know you. Like, I want to get to know how you operate, because my wife has taught me that, right? I look back at our family trips, our experiences, anniversaries, right? Holidays. And I'm thinking, how could she be mad about that? And I look back and I'm like, oh yeah, I can totally see how I messed up. I can totally see how I set up that situation for failure. And so I love that, because it's really opened up my mind and has taught me so much that people they're incredible, they're amazing. And I'll be honest, I don't know how to effectively, 100%, I don't know how to effectively work with you, support you, acknowledge you, tell you which pedal to push or which pedal to pull back if I don't know your unique operating system. And I love that. I love that exploratory process. So I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah. And no matter how many times I hear that quote or read that quote, still goosebumps today. I'm like,
Right?
yeah, I've heard it forever, but I'm already like tearing up, because if families understood what this could do for them,
Yeah.
it'd be a life changer.
Yeah.
And you get to know yourself. You get to know
Yeah.
yourself, and that makes sense. And then you get to know your spouse. And
Yes.
then that's like, whoa, like you said, you wouldn't have ever understood how you messed up if you still only understood your strengths,
Yep. Yep.
or like mess up, right? But what it is, it's just really just talking a different language. You were talking a different language to her. She didn't understand that you're saying I love you, right? And she's
Yeah.
hearing I don't like you, or whatever. And it's like, wow, you understand your spouse.
Yeah.
And then it's like, whoa. And so my daughter just turned 15 a little while ago, and I can't wait until she takes the test, because it's like, okay, now we're at this teenage, like, okay, she doesn't like mom. Like, we're like,
Yeah.
what is happening?
Yeah.
What language am I speaking to you?
Yeah.
And I cannot wait till she takes the test.
Oh,
It's
that's
crazy.
so, see, when my son, my son took his at 17, and same thing, like I assumed, right, as a parent, oh, I've raised him, I know who he is, I know how he operates. He takes the assessment, I'm like, I was dead wrong. I was dead wrong. And it opened up my eyes, and I thought, wow, this is what I need to lean into. This is how I need to help. This is how I need to support. This is what motivates him. And it's dramatically changed our relationship. In fact, so he's, he's in the mission training center. He called me on Friday. He's telling me this story, and he goes, Papa. So I read over my strengths report this last week, because I made sure he took it with him on his mission. He goes, I read over this and I could see how some of these things are playing out right now. And I'm like, oh my gosh, honey, you're gonna live such a better life than I did, right? You're gonna do so much better than all these things. And I just look at, right? From a level of success, from a level of engagement, from a level of, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love the wife and the relationships and everything that I've chosen into. But I look at this from a level of understanding moving forward in life. This has provided me with more understanding and a foundation that I just didn't have when I was building relationships. I was finding work. I was going through marriage, and it changes my understanding of not just of myself, but again of that dynamic of that relationship, and it gives better answers to questions, as like, instead of saying, oh, we can't work together, or it doesn't work, or you're like this, I'm like that. I look at it now, I'm like, okay, oh, that's where you're coming from. Oh, okay, all right. Okay, cool. All right. Okay. So how can I support this now? And you know what I mean? And so I love that you're there with that. That's super awesome.
And Philip, something that came to my mind for the you bring up an LDS mission, or a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, right? And so I have a little bit of that background too. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So for your listeners who are, something that I found is we get this this special blessing is something that we all that the those who are members of the church understand.
Yes.
And looking at my strengths test and comparing it with that and seeing how that brings that to life for me even more has been something huge in my life. And so I just wanted to share with that. Like it's not just about like, oh, what goodness else can I do or this or that, but it's like it helps me understand me and
Yeah.
my relationship with my creator and
Yeah.
my relationship, how he understands me. And he just wants me to understand what he already knows. He
Yeah.
gets me, you know? And it's like we come here and we forget.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's,
Right.
I want to remember me again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we go through these stages and we talk about our child self, and we talk about, I just want to get back to my child self. And that's what I feel like the strengths test has done for me. It's like the person who I am, divinely created, brought here to be on this journey and this experience. Remember me.
Mm,
This is a way for me to remember me, LDS or not. Like, go and remember yourself. Go
yeah.
take the Clifton Strengths test and find out who you are and find out what potential you have and the people around you, and find out that acceptance and that love that really it's a huge time in the world today where
Yeah.
people are looking for that,
Yes.
for their acceptance for self. And so just to understand, like, we are all truly gifted in our own way, but it's like, where is that at for me?
Yeah.
Can someone help me find that?
Yeah.
And really, that's what Clifton Strengths test has done for us and given us the opportunity to do, especially when we choose coaches like you, Philip, who can help us to learn what that means for
Oh
us.
my gosh. Man, Melinda, so I just want to say, this has been, these are always super fun. But I just want to acknowledge what you said, because this is why, when I look at, right, why I do what I do, or why I want to do what I do, and what are my motivators. And I love that you found that value and that connection to it, because that's ultimately what I love doing, right? The discovery of that's what I found, is that this was the first time that I thought, wow, I am good at something, or there is value in me. There is something about me that is unique or that's special. And that's my goal, is for everyone to see that, right? Because we do, unfortunately, we live in a place, in a world, in an environment where so many people are looking at, we're supposed to look at what's wrong with us. We're supposed to come from a perspective of broken. We're supposed to come from we're supposed to downplay, what we're good at or what makes us amazing, instead of upplay that, right? And say, oh no, I'm great at this. I love this, right? We're supposed, and I just love this idea of, I'm not trying to be better than any single coach, strengths coach, mentor, person. I'm trying to be the best Philip Ramos. That's the only person I want to be. That's literally all I want to do. Right now, my goal is to be the best Philip Ramos.
Yeah.
And I love that when people discover that hopefully that's their goal. It's not to be the best, of anything. Like, I'm not trying to be the best salesperson in the world. I'm trying to be the best Philip Ramos salesperson, right? Because I want to click in so connectedly in terms of what makes me great, and then keep doing that and bring that person to the world. And so I love what you're talking about, that process and that journey. So with that being said, like, it's what would you say? Because my gosh, you've dropped so many. I hope people go back and listen to this, because you've dropped some awesome stuff. But what would you say, like, is really, like, what has been your greatest aha, your greatest understanding, your greatest takeaway from strengths and what it's done for you? Like, if you could pull away, one idea, one concept, one thing that you're like, this thing, what would that be?
Oh, Philip, I'm glad you asked, because we kind of went right into that. And this is what I'm feeling, like all the goosebumps and everything inside of me. And it goes along with my purpose with the armor alignment, with Live Dosha, with just armoring up. Is there's so many forces out there. I believe there's so many forces out there that are telling us every day, this is what we're supposed to believe. This is what we're supposed to believe. And if you notice in your life as a child growing up that, oh, those things that people pick at that try to tear you down, it's like they're listening to these outside forces, like, let's tear down your light, let's turn that off.
Yeah.
And so when you were talking about the strengths test and all this that happens, I imagine, like, when I took the strengths test, it was like my flashlight turned on. Like, I was able to light the world.
Yeah.
In the way that I was given this gift to do that. But I have to remember what that is for me. And I truly believe, and I know without it, I could say factual, that everyone is born with the light of Christ in their life and with the light of their higher power. So if you don't understand Christ, if you don't know Christ, just understand that we're born with a light.
Yeah.
And that there's these forces that try to get that light to just dim and to turn off. And people are running on autopilot. They don't know that they are telling you, that they're speaking those sources that are trying to tear you down. They don't understand. Moms don't know what they're doing. We don't know. We're on autopilot. We don't know, like, hey, settle down. Hey, stop doing that. Hey, stop. We don't know, because we haven't took the time to practice or learned or had that mentor or that coach to teach us, like, whoa, pause.
Yeah.
Pause. Let's let that light shine.
Yeah.
And this is how you do that. You take the Clifton strengths test, you understand yourself, and then you help your children to understand who they are. And then you help each other to just light the world and to just shine as bright as you can. Like Marianne Williamson, one of my favorite quotes, to no longer fear that light and to let it just rock the world.
Oh, think about that. Think about if we were all given permission, and not just given permission, if we took the permission we have been given, right? If we owned it and we did that, right? We became that light. We lived at our true potential. What a beautiful place we'd live in. And more importantly, what a celebratory place that we live in. I think about one of the things that I love about strengths is that you are unique. And so I want you to shine, right? I want this person to shine, that person to shine. And when we shine that way, we're not trying to compare ourselves. We're not trying to look at, well, we're not using what I talked about before. We're not letting external, influences dictate our internal value, our internal personal value, our internal confidence, right? We're not saying, oh, my home, my car, my money, all these external things give me value and say I am of worth. I have talents, or I have gifts. We look inward, internally, and we begin to explore, and we begin to identify, we begin to fall in love with and feed, right? And then that what shines is that light and that uniqueness and that love. And we can look and be like, oh my gosh, look at your beautiful light. It has a different tint to it than my light does, right? Your light has a beautiful filter to it that mine doesn't have. Oh my gosh, right?
I love that.
Celebrating everybody's lights. Oh my gosh.
So good.
Oh man. Okay. So one last question as we wrap up here. So people, right, that they watch these recordings, or you're going to share it, or people that are watching live, what would you say? Like, as someone, I love that we're talking about relationships and family and all these other things. What would you say if someone that's starting out on their strengths journey, right? If I go back to mine and I think, well, I would have done this differently, right? What would be your biggest recommendation now, where you're at with strengths, and you someone brand new? What would be your greatest recommendation that you would encourage them with, or to do, or what would be that recommendation so that they can experience, from strengths, what you're experiencing today?
Well, I would say just sit on it for a bit. Just be like, just accept, like, open your heart to this. Like, okay, this says this, and I don't need to judge it. I don't need to understand it. I just need to like see it. Like, let me just see this for a moment, right? And then, like, just open your heart and give yourself permission to understand it.
Mm,
Like, give yourself permission to take whatever time, however quick it is, however slow it is, just to come to you. Like I said, you showed me this last August, or
mhm,
but and now it's almost a year later.
uh-huh,
It's like, wow, I understand it on a whole new level, and I know I'm going to understand it more and more and more
yeah,
because I'm open to that. My heart is open to that, and I want to learn who I am, and I want to love who I am,
yeah,
and I want to polish that because I know that the more I love me, the more I can love other people on a whole new level than I've ever understood before, ever connected with people before. I'm able to recognize toxicity in my life that
yeah,
comes from myself or comes from other, and I'm willing and able to be like, no, we don't have to play that game anymore.
yeah,
I talk about games a lot. That's me. I like games, right? But for someone else it's going to be different. But for me it's like I don't have to keep running and playing that game anymore. I get to play this whole new game that really lights up my life, and I get to learn about
mm,
me. And so I think just the most important thing is to accept the possibility that your world will open up in a whole new way.
yeah. Can I just want to acknowledge your empathy coming through right there. No doubt about it. And I also want to acknowledge, right, that's where I can hear your focus, but there's not this restorative of fixing broken type of thing. There's not an activator where go, 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 right? And I think, as you shared that, I can hear you coming from when you talked about it, right? Of your superpower. That's your superpower right there. That really rings true, and how you said that. And I think that that's beautiful. That just goes to show how in tune you are with who you are, what motivates you. Your language is in tune with that. And I just think that's special, Melinda. Great job. I just think that's that's very true to again to your strengths, and to your natural influences in you. And that, I think that was so beautifully said, that's where your come from is, that it's to them from that space. So thank you for that. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of positivity, a lot of woo, a lot of activator that I use in my language, and I think that was such a beautiful way for you to say it from your own. So thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for sharing this time with thank you to your family for letting you have the internet, hog the internet during this
Yeah,
time. Tell them thank you.
they're
Uh,
awesome.
but just thanks for being here, because I think the more and more people that get to hear from other people about their strengths journey and their strengths perspective, often people hear my come from, or they hear me, and they only get to hear my journey or my perspective, or what it's done for me. And hearing other people and how they're processing and how they're working is such a beautiful thing, to know that these are new. Although we speak different languages because of our strengths, it's also one universal language, right? I can now understand your empathy, and I want to celebrate it, right? I understand your husband's deliberative, and I can celebrate it. I can understand someone else's themes and their talents and want to celebrate it. And it's not, and I love this community, or this environment that fascinates me. If I could do anything in the world, if I could do anything in the world, it would be to lead and organize a community of like-minded strengths practitioners or users, or because I think it brings authenticity or purity or truth out from people, right? The lights and the filters, the lights and the, and all these, fun things. And I just love that. So thank you for being here, Malinda. Anything else you want to say as we wrap up?
Oh, Philip, thank you so much. And I just appreciate everything that you said. And I just, a thought that came to my mind when you were talking was last year when you introduced me to strengths, when 3 Key Elements introduced us to strengths. And you talked about how I balanced out what needed done with the activator and the achiever. And I shared that story from experience, because you know me, you know how much I've changed and grown and recognized my strengths and learned from you, that, a year ago, that activator, that achiever was in there in that perfectionist mode. Like,
Yeah.
no, I gotta understand this. Let's do it now. Let's figure this out. And it was drowning out the empathy. It was drowning out the restorative. It was drowning out. And when you talk about that, it just helps me recognize in my own life how much I have grown in this last year.
Yeah.
Because before that was never acceptable.
Yeah.
To not understand something, to
Yeah.
not be on point.
Yeah.
And there was so much health struggles that come with that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So much emotional, physical, mental struggles that come from not understanding that balance that can happen in my true balance, not in Philip's balance, not in Monty's balance,
Yeah.
but in Malinda's balance.
Yeah.
In my superpower.
Yeah.
And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, everything that you've taught me that has helped me, has helped my family, and it just has improved my entire experience in life. So.
I love it. Well, you're more than welcome, and I'm excited that you obviously you're having your family take it. I'm excited that you're talking about, with what you do professionally, you're like encouraging others, because it is, right? It's a beautiful place for us to all acknowledge what makes us great and how we move forward in life. So thank you, Malinda, for being here. You're the best.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks so much, everybody, for joining me today. This has been super fun, super enjoyable. I absolutely, it's interesting. And again, I can't help but acknowledge that every time I get to do this, I like everyone, right? Sometimes I question, I'm like, oh, do people even like this? Do people love this stuff? What has it done for people? When I get a chance to do the interviews, it's a different thing, because I start to hear, right? I start to hear in their language and their stories and the things that are going on. And I'm like, wow, this stuff really, it is. It's not just something that I'm not drinking my own Kool-Aid, right? I'm not drinking the strengths Kool-Aid. There is something that's happening inside of other people's lives that is dramatically changing and dramatically just moving them forward. And this has transformed my life. And it only makes me want to spread the word. It only makes me want to get it out there further. It only makes me and I'm going to say this again, it only makes me want to sell in my strengths and be the best salesman that I've ever been in my life. Not because I'm motivated by the results or the thing, but because I realize so here's the truth about what I've realized in terms of selling within my strengths. If I can't help people understand the value that strengths, what strengths is, what it's done for me, what it's done for the people that I've had a chance to work with, they can't benefit from that. If I can't do that in a way that they see the value, where they say, you know what, I want to buy that, or I want to connect with that, or I want to take that assessment. I want to learn on a deeper level what Malinda's talking about. If I can't do that, how do I help them? Right? How do I provide them with a solution? How do I transform what Malinda's talking about, the level of understanding, the toilet paper, right, within their marriage, or her daughter turning 15 and saying, I can't wait till she takes that. That experience would never happen if there wasn't a level of selling if there wasn't a level of helping someone see the value. And so, and when I think about this, that's where I think like, oh my gosh, I want to be the best sales person I've ever been, not because I'm motivated by the external results of it, but because of what she just said, because I'm so motivated to hear more of that, for more people to experience that, for more people that can be connected with that. And that excites me and that motivates me. It motivates me to help people understand, okay, so what is it about, right? How can I help them understand the importance of knowing their natural talents and not only focusing on skill, right? How do I focus on the fact that, oh, you can achieve more results, more authentic results, right? If I listen to Malinda and all the things that are happening in her life, it wasn't just a skill-based, it wasn't just school that helped her change what she talked about, her language, right? It wasn't just learning a skill. It was a combination of obviously going and learning a skill, but also understanding and developing and turning her talents and making an investment into her talents to accomplish even more results. And so I love this idea and I love this concept. And this is what I want to get great at, is this what I want to do. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I hope that you feel more inclined to invite more people to learn about their strengths, to learn about, to take their own journey, to understand their own process, to see the value in it. If you have people that are taking the strengths assessment, and this is something I do for every single person that takes it, because I want to be able to connect with them. I want to be able to help them. I want to be able to describe to them their assessment, what makes them great, what makes them unique. I'm actually meeting later on today. I'm actually meeting with a 13-year-old girl that took the kids assessment, her mom and the daughter. So I'm meeting with the daughter, but to help the mom and the daughter understand, right, the dynamic of what this assessment is, how to work with it. And so I love the idea of strengths, and I love the idea of talking to people, helping them see what makes them tick, what makes them unique, what makes them special. It's incredible. It is transformational when we can focus and we spin our attention and our information onto what makes people great and what makes them amazing. What a beautiful, I love what Malinda said, right? What a beautiful light we get to celebrate. A unique light, a special light, of light with filters, one that shines a little bit differently. Maybe theirs comes out with stars and the other one comes out with, moons, or what does that look like? And to celebrate and acknowledge everybody's uniqueness. What a beautiful world to live in. What a beautiful place to live in. So thank you so much for being here. I hope that you also find value in these interviews and in the things that I share, that you also want to invite other people to come, again, start their strengths journey. That's my invite to you. That is, if you have experienced at all any type of transformation, any type of awareness, any type of understanding, any type of value, I would highly please, I encourage them to take the assessment. It is a $49 assessment that, if they choose to, right, will transform their lives. Now, I want to end with this because this is a big belief that I have. As I've learned about coaching, training, if I've learned about being a mentor, there's a foundational a foundation that I've learned to understand when it comes time to change, right? We all hope that something can be different. I think that there's a level of hope. We all wish something could be different. But what I truly understand now about change, the people that want change have to invest three things: time, money, and energy. Without time, money, and energy, there is no level of engagement. There is no sacrifice. There's actually nothing for you to say, I want something to be different. When we hope for it, when we wish it would be, when we want to just lay in bed and do nothing and just say, oh, I'm going to attract it, we're not actually making any level of investment. The level of investment is what creates the change. When we invest the time, we're practicing. When we invest the money, we're making a financial commitment, or maybe a little hurt or a sacrifice, right? To say, okay, I'm in this. And when we invest our energy, it's priceless. Let's be honest. It is not easy to invest energy into the things that we want. We sometimes feel limited by it, right? Because we have kids, we have family, we have jobs. But when we invest that energy, we're truly committed to the change. So if you're someone out there that wants change, or if you're someone out there that knows people that wants change, making a $49 investment can be priceless. It has been priceless in my life. I would invest that over 1,000 times over to experience what I am experiencing today. And I know many others would agree with me. Make the investment into your life of time, money, and energy if you truly want change. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. I love you guys. I hope you have an incredible weekend. Have a wonderful Father's Day weekend. And spend time, celebrate what's amazing about someone. Spend time and celebrate what's amazing about them, because they deserve it. All right. Have a beautiful weekend. We'll talk to you later. See you next Saturday. Bye-bye.